So we just got the season finale of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There was big action, big reveals, big twists. So let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comments section. Share your thoughts on the season finale of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is a spoiler review, so feel free to spoil away in the comments section. No need for spoiler warnings. As we go into this, I actually have a companion video to this over on my Patreon page. It's a 30-minute review of the entire season where I give my general thoughts for about 15 minutes, and then I kind of pick each of the main characters and discuss their arc as a whole. The link is down below in the description. Join at any level and you can unlock 30 more minutes of discussion of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. With that said, let's go to my general thoughts on the season finale. So that'll bring me to my general thoughts on the finale, and I got on Twitter to try and read the room a little bit, what would be the tone of the way I would talk about this, and people's opinions seem to be all over the place. I saw the word masterpiece from some people. I saw some people in the middle of the road. I saw some people calling it the worst episode of television ever. My cohort in crime, my co-host on my podcast, Griffin, very not happy with the finale and the season as a whole. In fact, you can hear his thoughts. Check out this video right up here. I'll put the link in the description if you want to check out his thoughts. But he was as excited about this show as anyone going into it, enjoyed everything set up, and just didn't think it worked with where they went with it at all. So where did I fall on the finale? As for me, my expectations had been lowered based off the last 5 episodes, as well as where Episode 5 left off and what it set up. My expectations for what they could do in the finale had dropped a good bit, and this episode met my lowered expectations. Take that as you will. I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was a satisfying conclusion. It certainly was a continuation of my frustrations with the show up to this point in time, in that I don't think they set up the finale very well. They didn't do the work in episode 5 that you needed to do to make the finale be as effective as it could be. But setting that aside, I got a bunch of big action with superpowered people and super gadget people punching each other in the face. And then kind of with each of our story arcs, they kind of put a little cap on it, had the final little moment, so it felt like they came to some amount of conclusion on each of them. So if we're comparing this to WandaVision, I felt that WandaVision was much more compelling and intriguing during the journey to get to the finale. And then the finale itself, the last couple episodes were like, okay, you're not going to pay off all that intrigue all that well. And so I had lowered expectations, but it was very much the middle part was the strong section of that show for me. Here, it's the opposite. I really dug kind of the intro, and the conclusion capped it off nicely, but I was frustrated by the middle section. I thought this one as a whole, maybe it works better when you see the whole, whereas with WandaVision, the journey was the exciting part about it. So as for me, I got what I wanted out of the finale, or at least I got what I expected by this point in time out of the finale. There are a few things that were certainly clunky about it. As I said, they didn't set up things enough, so it just kind of jumped straight into the action, and I'm not even sure what exactly Karli and friends are trying to accomplish with this. I think when Falcon starts monologuing to the government, there's better ways to do that. There's less heavy-handed ways to communicate what you're trying to communicate through the show and your themes than literally having the star of your show give a monologue to other characters. Not the best way to do that. But in general, did I kind of get the big payoff that I wanted from the reveal of Falcon accepting his role as the actual new Captain America and everything that would stand for? Yes. Did I enjoy the payoff of Bucky finally making amends? Yes. Did I actually like the redemptive arc for John Walker? I did. And so I thought it did a lot of things really nicely. And then I think the big payoff that really worked was using Falcon as the person to break the cynicism of Isaiah. Isaiah had reason to be very cynical in Sam through what he stood for and what he was able to do coming forward gave hope to a man that only saw hopelessness because of the experiences that he had had. So for me, it paid off enough. I liked what they did. And even on Carly and friends don't meet, they're not victorious in what they're trying to do, but they are victorious in the sense that through their actions, they motivated Sam to change. Sam takes up their cause in the right way, the diplomatic way, the way that doesn't involve killing people. Therefore, they were successful because they moved him. And it's a little bit like what they did with the movie Black Panther, where Killmonger is a villain that's killing people, you want him stopped, but he's right in the fact that Wakanda should have been helping the world and not hiding from the rest of the world. They had things that could help people in need, people being victimized, and they chose not to do that. Killmonger was right about that. And by the end of the movie, our hero defeats him, but is changed by his message and brings that to Wakanda and changes Wakanda. They do the same thing here where the Flag Smashers are wrong in the way they're doing it, but there's a truth in what they're doing that our hero is able to bring to the people in the proper means, in the right way. So even they had some amount of victory through this finale. I don't think it was nearly as effective as the movie Black Panther, but I don't think the Flag Smashers were as compelling as Killmonger was. And so therefore, the season as a whole had its issues because of that. But I thought it was a satisfying enough conclusion based off where the show was at, the mistakes it had made, and what I could expect for this finale. All right, so let's kind of go into a walkthrough of the episode. This one will be a little bit different because the episode basically starts off with 30 minutes of action sequence, followed by, let's do a little epilogue for everybody's little arc here. And so I'm not going to walk through every little fight thing that happened, but so episode kicks off and we go straight into building is held hostage and Bucky and Falcon show up to save the day. And this is one of the reasons why I think my expectations were kind of like tempered and lowered. Episode 5 didn't do a lot to set this up. Like they had scenes of Carly being like, let's go do this. Let's take over the buildings. Let's stop the vote. But it was just like a couple scenes. It didn't do the hard work of like making us very afraid of the urgent danger, understanding exactly what they're trying to do, what exactly their plan is, how exactly they're doing it in like an interesting way. They kind of decided to be like, okay, they're going to go take that building. And then they did. It's just kind of, they're just there taking over the building and we don't know exactly how that works. And so I think that I kind of went into it being like, okay, I just have to accept the fact that we're in the middle of an action sequence right now. I wish they'd done more work to make this more compelling, but I'll just accept it for what it is. And so kind of go into it and you have Falcon, at least we think he's Falcon. He's flying in, and the last thing we saw him in the last episode was him open up the case. And, pretty easy guess that the suit was in there, some sort of Falcon Captain America suit that's a combination of everything. And so we see Falcon flying in from a distance. Don't know exactly what's he going to look like. Smashes through the window, and you see kind of it's like mixture of the wings with Captain America. It's pretty overtly one of the comic book versions of Sam Wilson as Captain America, and flies through, and someone says, "Hey, Falcon." He's like, "No, I'm Captain America." And just hearing him say that has a little bit one of those chills moments of like, yeah, we had this whole, it's now 2 years. Actually, 2 years ago today is when I saw Endgame. Like I got a notification this morning when I woke up, like 2 years ago, your memory, it was me at the press screening for Avengers Endgame. So 2 years ago today, Steve gave him the shield. And then we have this 2 years of my time in my life. And then 6 months, 7 months in the show, whatever long it is, plus 6 episodes on this journey of him accepting it. That he says, I am Captain America, and just owns it. There's something like in that's just like, yeah, we made it. We're here. We did it. It's just exciting. So then Karli and friends are trying to take everyone hostage, and so they run everyone down the stairs into these trucks that they're using special tech to lock them into the trucks. So Bucky has to like chase them down while on the inside, Falcon, I'm going to keep calling him Falcon, Captain America is fighting with George St. Pierre, which we start like doing this callback to George St. Pierre introduced fighting Captain America at the very beginning of Captain America and the Winter Soldier. So now our new Captain America is fighting him once again. That guy's out for revenge. So they're having their big, gigantic fight. Because it's like the Ep guy was just at the beginning and just brought back for kind of a boss fight here. It's fun to see them fight, but it doesn't actually mean all that much. Because this guy doesn't have like an arc. He's just kind of shows up as a thug from time to time. So it's kind of fun to see him. I don't know, it didn't feel like it meant a whole lot to have these two people fighting. So then it kind of leads to a scenario where some of the people are being taken hostage via helicopters, which leads to Sam trying to go and rescue people in the helicopter. Bucky's trying to get people out of the trucks. And this is where you start to see Karli get her most villainous, doing things that they needed to have her do earlier in the season. So she starts saying things to her people like, if we need to start killing them, we need to start killing them. Like, she says that out loud. Still, everyone's like, no, we shouldn't kill people. But still, they listen to her. And then they're in the middle of the fight and they need a distraction so that Bucky will stop fighting them. So she sets a truck on fire that has people in it, knowing that Bucky will try and stop them. So this is what they needed, when I keep talking about stakes, urgency in my reviews, that's what I needed Karli and the Flag Smashers to do in episode 1, episode 2, really establish them as people that are willing to kill innocents for the sake of their cause. They view them as not people that matter. When they state that in this episode, they pretty overtly state that. That needed to be made much clearer and much more real at the beginning so that you feel that they're the danger that they present. Like, why on earth would Bucky team up with Zemo? Why would he do something so desperate? And people are like, well, because they were super soldiers. Right. But in the season up to that point in time, they hadn't killed anybody. Like, why not? You can wait 2 days for a new lead if they're not killing anybody. If they're not saying they're going to kill anybody, they're just stealing medical supplies. Why would you break out Zemo, who actually kills people? Why wouldn't you try and work with Walker? Why would you do that if they're not actually killing people? Like, there's so many options that were on the table besides Zemo, including time. Because the show didn't create urgency and demonstrate them as people that will set vans on fire, trucks on fire, blow up buildings yet on the show. They need to do that at the beginning. So finally, Karli starts doing the villainous stuff she needed to do earlier. So Bucky's desperately trying to get the people out of the vehicle to save them. And as he gets them out, you have like this little moment where someone thanks him. And it's like, weirdly enough, like just someone saying thank you to him, to the Winter Soldier. There's something about that even kind of like, yeah, they appreciate him. He's no longer assassin guy. He's guys that saves people guy. And he's been doing that for a while. And there's even a conversation he has with Karli where Karli's like, I really believe in something. Like, have you ever said that? She's talking to a guy that signed up for World War II. She's talking to a guy that fought in the Infinity War. She's talking to a guy that battled Thanos in the final battle. Like, she's talking to the guy that, if you want a resume of fighting for a cause that matters, he has done it. And, but he doesn't feel the hero that he is. He doesn't feel that. Even his response to her is like, I failed 2 times. Like, no, man, we won World War II. We defeated Thanos, and you were a part of that, man. Bucky, you're a hero. And he starts to like that. Even that thank you, I think, starts to soften him on that fact of like, you're not defined by what someone else made you do. You're defined by the choices you make, and the choices you made was battle the Nazis, stop Thanos, and help. Like, when you're in a fight, you chose to save people in the truck that were about to burn to death. So in the midst of all of this, John Walker shows up with his made-up fake Captain America shield out for revenge on Karli. And he starts fighting them, and he's clearly just out for blood. Bucky is in his own little fight, and somewhere in the mix, one of the cars, I guess the Karli and friends, they're trying to do everything they can to make their point, kill these people off. So they try and push the truck off a ledge, and it's on these beams, like about to bend. And John Walker has a choice. Do I get my revenge and keep fighting to kill these people, or do I turn and try to be the hero? And John Walker decides to be the hero. So one of my buddy Griffin, this is one of the things he took issue with. This show decided to give a redemptive arc for John Walker, but not for Karli. John Walker makes the right choice in the end, and Karli and friends make the wrong choice in the end, and they get a little bit worse as the show goes along. I don't know. I feel like that feels consistent with the characters, though. Like, John Walker was never actually like a psychopath. He's a guy with a temper problem that took the super soldier serum that amplifies who you are. So a temper plus super soldier is super temper, and therefore brutally murdered someone that was surrendering. Evil thing to do. Not right. Certainly not with the Captain America shield. Like, not a good thing to do. But this is a guy that from the very beginning was like, I just want to do the right thing. He was a decorated war hero. So the idea that his actual goal is to help people, not to kill Karli, that's consistent with who he was. And I think with Karli, she did get a victory. She won over Sam. Her cause was won through Sam because she won him over, in a sense. And so I think she did in her own way get a redemptive arc. I think the show tried to give everyone a victory at the end of the show, while certain people still lost at the end. So John Walker kind of gets this little redemptive arc where he catches the vehicle and stops it just long enough. And then all the Karli and friends start beating him, punching him, so the vehicle falls. But just in time for Falcon, Captain America, new Captain America to show up, catch it, save the day. And then you have Bucky, John Walker, and new Captain America teaming up to try and stop them in the very end, and leads to Sharon Carter ends up eventually killing Karli down in a basement because Sam won't fight her. He's trying to be defensive, and she continues to push and push, pulls a gun on him. Sharon Carter shoots and kills her. Sam doesn't know this. We know this. She's the actual power broker. Plot twist that everyone saw coming. You go back, like, I don't know if they wanted this to be like a big surprise, but they didn't really set up any other paths any viable paths for where this was going. It seemed pretty obvious as soon as they introduced Sharon Carter that she was going to be the power broker, and they didn't have any red herrings or anything else that would like make you think otherwise. So that was kind of a really weird choice in my mind that it was so one flatlined in the complexity of who is the power broker. And then they're like, see, it's her. Did you see that coming? Well, yeah, because I'm not stupid. So I don't think that reveal really worked. I don't think this arc works. It's another thing where I think they needed more time on the character to pause and really explain why she is so different from who she was in Civil War. We know certain ways in which why she's cynical, but like other people got a pardon, but not her. Why did no one reach out to her, try and contact her to give her a pardon when they were doing all their stuff? Like 5 years have passed where people disappeared, but she's still on the run, a fugitive. Like there's things in this that like just don't, like I need some question answered to understand why she is who she is, that she's now not just, a pirate living on her own, but she's like villainous and trying to arm very bad people with weapons because she's like so turned. Like I don't think we've earned that. We certainly have explained where all of that is coming from, that it makes sense to me. And if you want to do a twist turn reveal, you have to be more subtle than this. You have to have some red herrings. You have to have some things like, okay, you've set up 3 people that it seems like it could be any one of them. Which one will it be though, and why? No, it was just always like pretty clearly her. That's frustrating. Anyway, so she kills Karli. We eventually get to the point in time. Flag Smashers all get captured. Police show up, point guns at them because Bucky and John do a little trap with an app, which seemed like a pretty awfully easy for them to defeat them just using an app or something like that. It leads to the moment where GRC people thank new Captain America for saving them. That leads to him monologuing to them for like 3 minutes straight, him kind of monologuing to them as they just simply go, "You don't understand, it's complex." And that's all they ever say back to him. In a certain sense, I appreciate the thought of the scene, the idea of him being a symbol, being the right middle person to be able to communicate this message in a way that people would listen to him as a person that has earned respect as an Avenger, as new Captain America, as Black Man. He's the right person to bring this message at this moment. It's awfully heavy-handed to have him monologue for several minutes. And another area where I think the show needed to spend more time on, like, why does the GRC, why is their answer to everything relocate these people? I get it's complex. I understand. Right, it's complex. But you're not explaining how it's complex. You're just saying we need to move these people out and we need to redo these borders, but we're not listening to them. But the show never explains any of it. It explains heavily why Karli and friends don't want them to do this. It doesn't explain the other side to it. It never makes the argument. So it just feels very one-sided, which is kind of a way of being very lazy with something like this. Instead of living in the complexity, it just one-sidedly explains things and strawmans who the GRC are, which is weird to strawman people that don't even exist. You can write whatever crap you want to write. It's fiction. And they don't even do that. They don't even make up a compelling reason. They just say, it's complex. And it's all, they literally just keep, it's complex. You don't understand. It's complex. You don't understand. Right. And you've never even tried as a show to explain it. So then, of course, Falcon is able to own them because they don't have an argument by being the person in the middle. Heavy-handed. There's a way to do it that just isn't so hero monologuing at people who are wrong. But once again, to what I said before, what he's doing right here is Karli winning. They're trying to do the Killmonger model. Killmonger had to be defeated, but he moved our hero, so our hero enacts through a peaceful way the desires of our villain, who had a kernel of truth in there, but was a villain. Sam not being a villain, but understanding where Karli was coming from through right methods. So it's kind of, in certain ways, I appreciate it. In other ways, like the actual scene itself, I wish they'd found a better way to do it, or less heavy-handed, or fleshed something I think needed to be there that wasn't just him monologuing to him, someone that keeps going, you don't understand, it's complex. Okay, I got you. Right plot point, maybe not the right execution. And so then from there, we kind of episode close out, we kind of give our little epilogues for everybody. John Walker meets up with Elaine from Seinfeld. And he walks out in the U.S. agent. So this is always what there's always building towards. Same suit, basically. It's just black now. He is U.S. agent. And I was worried they were going to kill him. I was worried. Maybe that's a bad thing. I thought that they were going to give him a heroic sacrifice, that he was going to throw his body in front of the truck that was falling to stop it and die. But the people lived. And I don't think that would have been the right redemptive arc. I think works better as the anti-hero. He's not Steve Rogers. He is kind of a guy with a dark side to him, but he is in the right direction. He wants to stop evil, but sometimes he turns into the villain himself. That's fun. I like this character. Not personally. He's a jerk. He's a douchebag. But the complexity, the back and forth, I want to see more of this guy, and I think there's a lot of potential for what you can do with him. And clearly it seems like they're setting something up with him. Then we have a scene where Zemo blows up the surviving Flag Smashers as they're super soldiers. He doesn't like super soldiers, so he blows them up. So that kind of gives a little bit of Makes sense that that's what he's kind of finishing out all of his plans and stuff like that. So, gotcha. Okay. Bucky goes and meets up with the guy from episode 1 and tells him the truth. And I thought it was a nice note to end on. I was underwhelmed by Bucky's arc. I thought Bucky, this could have been developed a lot more. Because it feels like episode 1 really sets it up. Episode 6 really pays it off. And there's not a ton in the middle. You get a little bit in episode 2 in the therapy meeting. You get a little bit in the Sam conversation episode 5. And then the middle section, we weren't really even dealing with Sam. So it felt like they were bookended it, but there wasn't a lot in the middle. There's not a lot of books between them. There's just a little bit between these two bookends. So I wish they would have given Bucky a little bit more development time. I really liked the performance. Everything they gave us from Bucky, I thought worked. His humor, I thought landed, whether he's like, I'm 106, and then makes an awkward face. I read The Hobbit when it first came out. I loved all that stuff. I wish we had actually more of it, though. And then the last one to talk about on here would be the Isaiah plotline closing. I thought that was really nice. I was really hoping they'd find some way to close that out. And what the weekly nature of the show, I thought ended the episodes on weird notes. Like when you have a show that's all about who's Captain America and you have someone being like, they will never let a black man be Captain America. America did this. And like it leaves it on kind of weird notes, especially when you're letting a character that's very cynical for good reason to kind of put that out there and you don't close it out. You kind of sit and linger on that for a week, 2 weeks. It's a lot to linger on. This very heavy stuff that is not very hopeful for a character that is inherently a symbol. Hopefully, what you see him, it's supposed to be a symbol for good. And that's obviously the tension of the show. Is it a symbol for good? And the leaving on the note of, is Captain America, should the shield be destroyed? That's a kind of an odd note to do in a show about Captain America, who will be Captain America. And so I really appreciated the way that they found a way to break the cynicism and show, say that like we're moving towards something better. There is hope. Something better can come of all of this. And you softened this guy. And then you gave him this moment where his story's being told. And I almost wish that they'd even found a little bit way more to do more with it. Go a little bit more public with him and make like this big, I think subtlety maybe made more sense because of the nature of the character. With how private he was and the way he behaved, like I get why doing a press conference and really going forward something wouldn't maybe fit the character. I think that would have even been. I'm a sentimental. I like the big gestures, so I think for me personally, I probably would have responded really well had they found a way to like do something big and public with him, and you see Carl Lumbly crying publicly as everyone claps for him for everything that he served, everything that it cost him. I don't know. I like that big stuff, and I get why it didn't fully make sense to do it with the character, but I think I would have liked that. Doing something really big, gigantic like that. So then our post-credit scene is Sharon Carter is forgiven and given her old job back. So she walks out with new access to government files and says, "Hey, we got access to everything," setting her up as this major villain for future MCU things. So the episode really did, and then the big one, actually this kind of happened before this, but the end card on it says Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I thought that was a nice little touch. And so I imagine we'll probably get another season of this Captain America and the Winter Soldier coming 2 years from now or something like that. And they'll make a formal announcement today or tomorrow or something like that. Like, there's no sequel season. There's no season 2 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but we got a new show, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, coming 2023. I wouldn't be surprised if we get that announcement today or tomorrow. It wouldn't surprise me. Maybe that won't happen, but I don't know, put a big grin on my face whenever that card came up on the screen and they said that. So, closing thoughts. For me, I got a satisfying conclusion to each of these characters based off my lowered expectations. That they didn't do the hard work to give us a compelling villain in the Flag Smashers because they didn't want them to be big enough. They wanted us to sympathize with them so much that they couldn't let them be true villains until too late in the season. And I think that really hurt the show, that they weren't dangerous enough. And also, we didn't understand why the GRC was the way that they were enough for me to care about that central plot line. So put all that aside, the finale was satisfying enough in light of a season that wasn't as great as I was hoping that it would be. That's my take on it. Remember, I got a companion to this over on Patreon, 30 more minutes talking about the season as a whole and elaborating on everything that I just said, especially about the Flag Smashers, really dive into my frustration with why that plotline didn't work. Be sure to check out Griffin's video. I'll put that around here as well. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV way too much.